What's going on, guys, and welcome back to F1 22 for My Team Career Mode Season 2, round number 10, I believe, the Hungarian Grand Prix. So, Hungary, another track we haven't gone to yet. Before we go into this one, I'm going to put I think it's a build time upgrade, facility upgrade on aerodynamics, because I want to get those up to Spec 2, because I'm now actually starting to run out of upgrades to be able to put on the cars without going up to Spec 2. Looking at R&D going into this round, we have re-overtaken Alfa Romeo again, but we are still right there with them. However, we do seem to be somewhat closing up to the rest of the pack, so Alpine and McLaren only a little bit ahead, so that field spread is actually very, very close throughout the whole grid, to be honest now, so it means that we might have good opportunities to do well. But we also have, bad opportunities, I suppose you can call them, to potentially, get knocked out early on in Q1 or something, or just generally not have a good race because everybody else is so close to us. For this time, we do thankfully make it through Q1. We get into Q2, thankfully. This is a track that in previous games I have struggled with quite a bit. And at the moment, it seems like after Q1, that is still kind of the case. I'm P15 after Q1. Kevin Magnussen, my teammate, up there in P12. So we don't quite have the speed of him at that point in time. But we go into Q2 for our flying lap of Q2. And we do, unfortunately, not make it through to Q3. Still yet to make it through to Q3. But hopefully soon, at some point this season, we will make that milestone. But yeah, this is a track that I'm not the biggest fan of, to be honest. A lot of people call it Monaco without the barriers. It's a very twisty track. There's these big straights here, but that's about it. And I mean, that one there, not really an overtaking opportunity. To be honest, the only real overtaking opportunity on this track is into turn 1. Anywhere else, I mean, from this section onwards, sector 3 is, and most of sector 2 is tight and twisty. This twisty section here that we're coming up to, this is a section that I seem to struggle with quite a bit. It's like a lot of other tracks, I seem better at it in this game than I was in F1 2021 and 2020, but yeah, it is a very twisty circuit this, and not a whole lot of kind of fast sections. It's not the quickest track on the calendar, so really the only overtaking opportunity is into turn 1, so that means that really we want to try and do good in qualifying, because I think it's going to be difficult to overtake in the race. But at the end of Q2, Kevin Magnussen goes P11. He almost gets in to Q3, so that's a great result for Magnussen. Unfortunately for us, it's P16. It's not a great qualifying. It wasn't the best lap in the world. I could have done a bit better, but ultimately I just don't seem to have the pace here. So I'm hoping that maybe I have a little bit more race pace.
It's race day in Budapest as we get ready for another round of Formula One action. We're not expecting too many retirements at this circuit. There are plenty of current and former drivers with flawless finish rates here. In particular, Ralf Schumacher, who made it across the line in all 10 of his Hungarian Grand Prix starts. Located 12 miles northeast of the Hungarian capital Budapest, the 14 corners of the Hungaroring are steeped in history and prestige. Overtaking's always been difficult on this technical 2.7-mile track, but the last few years in particular have turned up some exceptional races. So let's hope we're in for another one here today. It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. An immense lap from Carlos Sainz yesterday puts him in pole position, and Lando Norris lines up alongside. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Leclerc, Hamilton, George Russell and Ricciardo, Verstappen, Fernando Alonso, Ocon and Lance Stroll, Gasly, Tsunoda, Valtteri Bottas, Shaw, Schwartzman, Albon, Guan Yu Zhou and Sebastian Vettel, Liam Lawson, Magnussen, Mick Schumacher and Nicholas Latifi. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today? Natalie Pinkham joins me once again in the commentary box. It's fantastic to have you with us today. I'm curious though, how do you think the drivers stop those pre-race nerves from becoming overwhelming when you're lining up on the grid?
Well, I imagine they'll be starting to feel the adrenaline as they anticipate the rundown into turn 1. A bit like preparing to go into battle. The unknown situation will bring nerves, but that's a good thing. It'll keep them focused on the moment and on their surroundings as we build towards the start of the Grand Prix.
Alright, so unfortunately for Kevin Magnussen and our team, he did that great result of P11 in qualifying, and this is, remember, a difficult track to overtake on, but he's taken a grid penalty for this race, so it means he's starting back in P20. So that is really unfortunate. I think he would have been on a pretty good chance to score points today, but unfortunately now that's looking very unlikely, starting P20 on the grid. We end up P14 thanks to his and I think Mick Schumacher's grid penalties. So let's see what we can do to 5 red lights for the Hungarian Grand Prix. It's lights out and away we go alongside Bottas. We look like we actually get a decent start compared to Bottas off the start here. But then in the second phase we just seem to lose all speed. We've now got Robert Schwartzman trying to go around the outside. Then we get swamped by absolutely everyone. We're down to P17, down to P18, as I think that's Liam Lawson on the outside there, trying to make a move on us. So we're now going to try and just keep that from him. And we very nearly go into the back of Robert Schwartzman, just having to keep out of trouble here. But we have not had a good start. We're down to P18 from P14. Now seeing if we can get a run on Schwartzman up here. But this is a very difficult place to go for an overtake, so I'm not going to do that. And we've actually got Schwartzman's teammate of Mick Schumacher, our previous teammate before he bailed us midway through this season, looking around as well. And we're just having to make sure we're careful to not let him pass. We don't want to fall any further, as we have fallen 4 positions from where we started in this race. This has not been a good start at all. P18, not good. And I mean, Schumacher is also, he's down in P21, so he's also lost a position off the start. Sorry, Magnussen, my teammate now, as we have a look once again at Schwartzman into the next corner, but can't do anything at the moment. And yeah, that is not the start we wanted, especially on a track like this where it is so difficult to overtake. Going back 4 positions is not at all what we wanted, so we're gonna have to try and make some moves in this race, make those positions back again if we want to have any chance at points in this race. Looking at the start again from the front of the field, Lando Norris starting on the front row alongside Carlos Sainz actually gets the best run off the start into turn 1. Lando Norris leads, but Carlos Sainz is going to try and keep it round the outside, and he's going to get better traction off the corner, and Sainz will stay ahead in through the next corner. And now Lando Norris has to defend from Sainz's teammate of Charles Leclerc, but good initial start from Lando Norris there, keeping himself in P2 and actually having a run at P1. We continue on here, and like I said, lap number 4, and although I've definitely got better pace than the cars ahead of me, especially Liam Lawson, he's probably the main one, and I guess maybe Albon, but Albon's actually doing a decent job. These guys quite a bit slower than us, but now lap number 5 onto lap number 6, we're having a look at the back of Schwartzman, and we all have DRS at the moment, but I'm just going to have to try and go for a bit of a dive into turn 1. Here we go alongside as we come through the turn 1 hairpin. And I think we've got that move done on Schwartzman, so we're up 1 position from all these positions we've lost, and now we have Liam Lawson ahead of us, and he's definitely quite a bit slower than these guys because he's already fallen out of DRS of Albon, and I think it's Zhou Guan Yu Zhou up ahead. I don't know if we're calling him Zhou Guan Yu or Guan Yu Zhou anymore. I'll just say whatever comes to me. But we go round the outside of Lawson. We're definitely quicker than the Aston Martin, especially with him not having DRS, and we're up another position there at the front of the field here. And like I said, Lando Norris had a great start, and he's actually now having a look at a move on Carlos Sainz for the lead as they go into turn 1. Lando Norris up the inside. This could be a spicy battle here. Norris trying to go for his first win in Formula 1. How he'd love to do it here in Hungary, and he's actually ahead as they go into turn 2 now, but Sainz is still there just sniffing around behind him. But it looks like Lando Norris has got the move done, and he's up into the lead of this race, and Carlos Sainz seems to be losing. I don't know if he's got an engine issue or some other issue here, because now his teammate Charles Leclerc is going for a move as well, side by side through the hairpin. Great little moves going on there, great camera angle, and Charles Leclerc is up into second. Carlos Sainz is falling down the order, and he must have some kind of issue here because next lap around he's going to fall even further down, falls out of DRS from his teammate. Oh no, sorry, he does still have DRS, but his car just doesn't seem very quick in a straight line. The Mercedes of Lewis Hamilton is now making a move on him as they go side by side through this section. So good battling going on here, as now George Russell's going to make it 3 wide as they go into turn 2, round the left-hander, Mercedes on the outside, Ferrari on the inside, but it looks like Sainz is just about held on. I think there might be one of those Mercedes alongside him, but it's a big old battle here. Now the two Mercedes are side by side with each other. George Russell trying to get past his more experienced teammate Lewis Hamilton, and he's got it done. So a lot of squabbling going on towards the front of the field. Looking at the other McLaren of Daniel Ricciardo, he's a bit further down the order, not having quite as good of a race here, as he has a big moment out of turn 1, and that's going to let the two Red Bulls have a go at him, as I think that is Max Verstappen going for a move first up the inside of turn 2 and then around the outside of turn 3, and he gets that move done. And now Lance Stroll and the other Red Bulls having a look as well, but he can't make anything happen. So yeah, Verstappen not running too well actually at the moment, did not have a good qualifying here, and is actually there with his teammate, which is very unlikely because Stroll has been way off the pace of Verstappen this season so far. As we're now having to go have a look on Alexander Albon, and once again we're just going to have to go for a dive into turn 1 because he still has DRS, but just using as much ERS as we can and getting that slipstream. Our car is pretty quick in a straight line, so we can make that move. And then just like it was on Lawson, the next move, this time on Guan Yu Zhou, is going to be relatively easy because he doesn't have DRS. We're quite a bit further back here. He tries to go defensive, but we just shoot one up the inside. He is going to give us a little bit of battle through turn 1, but then we're going to get the DRS on the next detection point, and we're now up another position and back up into P14 where we started this race. So 12 laps in, 13 laps in, we're now back to where we started. So that just shows how bad that start was and how difficult it is to make moves on this track. At the front, and Lando Norris still leads the way. He's doing a stellar job here, but he's not got it easy. He's got Charles Leclerc right behind him, as you can see as well. This McLaren livery being used for this race and probably a few races to go until it gets taken out of the game. But yeah, Norris at the moment holding strong in the lead. We come into the pits on lap 16 to 17 for our set of hard compound tyres. And we're going to come out of the pits just behind Valtteri Bottas, and I think I've actually heard over the radio that Bottas has an issue, so he's a little bit slow at the moment, and we got stuck behind him this lap, which was a bit of a pain in the arse. But now they're going to go for a move on the inside. He squeezes us to the wall on the inside there, onto the pit wall, but we're going to make the move into the hairpin, the same place as we have every other overtake, because like I said, it's really the only place that you can legitimately make a move. Anywhere else and you're kind of being pretty crazy to make that sort of move. A few laps later, lap number 20, and we eventually pretty much have caught up to the back of Yuki Tsunoda. The two AlphaTauris actually doing pretty well here, P11 and P12, so yeah, they're showing a lot of pace here. As you can see in the top left as well, Valtteri Bottas has fallen down the order, has been overtaken by Albon now as well. He definitely has a car issue and is slowing down quite dramatically, and has now also been overtaken by his teammates, so not a good day for Bottas this time around. But we're still stuck behind Tsunoda here, and despite the fact we got into DRS, we're finding it pretty difficult to actually make a move on him. So the AlphaTauri, one of the slower teams actually, I'm not sure if they're the second to last or the third to the last quickest team, you know, the 9th or the 10th fastest team, but yeah, we're actually struggling to make a move on Tsunoda. A few laps later though, Fernando Alonso has got an issue in the Alpine. It looks like he's going to be pulling over. No smoke from the engine, but obviously there's something wrong with that Alpine, and he pulls over, and that's Alonso out of the Hungarian Grand Prix, the only driver so far to go out of this race. And then on that same lap, going on to lap 24, we're now a bit closer to Yuki Tsunoda. We're still not that close, but you know what? I'm just going to go for it. It's a big dive into turn 1, but we get the move done. That was a pretty nice move. I do like watching that one back. No contact, pretty much stayed on the racing line as well, and it was from a fair way back, but it just looked good. So very happy with that move. Now we're going to have to chase down his teammate Pierre Gasly, and at the front this battle is still going on, but it just shows how difficult it is to overtake on this track. Lando Norris still leads, Charles Leclerc is still there in second, and these guys are quite a way ahead of the rest of the field, which I think consists of the two Mercedes and and Max Verstappen and Carlos Sainz are kind of in that battle behind them. But yeah, the two leaders are fair way ahead, but Leclerc just can't make a move. He can't find a place to make a move on Norris. And we continue on trying to chase after Pierre Gasly, but we've got a little bit of an issue here. We are catching Gasly, but we're pushing like hell, and I'm actually running low on fuel. I didn't realise how much fuel we would use on this track. It's a real pain in the ass, because some tracks you use more, or at least I seem to use more fuel than I fuel for so many laps, but I seem to use more than that amount of fuel. Some tracks I'll use less than that amount of fuel, so I'm kind of having to note down which tracks work which way with the fuels. Unfortunately, this track I fueled for about 0.3 of a lap more than needed, but this track seems to use fuel more than other tracks. So unfortunately, we're really in a precarious point here, and lap number 32, we've now caught right up to the back of Pierre Gasly. We're in DRS range, so I'm just going to keep pushing for a couple of laps, see if we can get past him. If we can't get past him by lap 33, 34, we're on lap 33 now. I think by the end of this lap, if we can't get him, because we don't manage to get him into turn 1 on lap 33, if we can't do that again on lap 34, we're probably going to have, and I'm just really trying to position my car in the best place here. I'm actually trying to get a tighter run through that corner to get a better run onto this straight, to even just try and go for a move anywhere that I can. But unfortunately, I just can't quite do it. Gasly's a bit too quick for us, and with turn 1 being the only real overtaking opportunity, it's proving very difficult. So we go on to lap number 34. This is the last opportunity I have, because after this I need to save fuel. And once again, just into turn 1, he just gets a good run out of the final corner, and it means even though he doesn't have DRS and I do, and I have plenty of ERS to use, I just can't get the run on him. That AlphaTauri is actually pretty quick, and he just gets good run through the corner and out of the corner, and unfortunately I have to let off and save fuel, so we're actually going to miss out on points. It's going to be P11 for us. But at the front of this race, Lando Norris is still leading the way from Charles Leclerc. He's managed to keep the Monaco driver, the Monegasque driver, back, and Lando Norris is going to go ahead to win the Hungarian Grand Prix and take his first win in Formula 1. And it's a great win from McLaren as well. They're first in this My Team Career Series. So that is awesome to see a new driver and a new team in this universe taking a win. Like I said, we ended up P11. That last lap, I just had to save fuel for the entire lap, so we fell way back behind Gasly. If I did try and push and go for a move on him, we'd just end up having to slow down and let him pass anyway.
And it's a performance to be proud of from our Hungarian Grand Prix winners. Natalie Pinkham, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
I feel consistency was probably the key today. There's being quick, and then there's being quick lap after lap after lap. If you can do that, you can capitalise on other people's errors without making many of your own. And that's an approach that can push you a long way up the field.
Our drivers are making their way out for the podium celebrations, and it's going to be McLaren picking up the winner's trophy. Congratulations to the entire team for that fantastic performance.
So there we go. It's awesome to see Lando Norris up on the top step of the podium for the first time in F1 22. He wins the Hungarian Grand Prix and wins his first Grand Prix in Formula 1. Charles Leclerc had a great run with him to come home second, and George Russell ended up P3 after Sainz had those engine issues, and yeah, Russell just made the most of it, getting past Hamilton as well. So it's another podium for Russell too, but he's not got his first win yet. Norris gets his first win before Russell, so that's interesting to see. I'm sure it's not far away for Russell though, keeping in mind in this career mode of ours, season 1 and 2, Mercedes have only had one win so far, which was Hamilton in Monaco last season. We end up P11 unfortunately, so no points for us, and Magnussen P19 for him, so really not a good one, especially after how he was looking so good in qualifying. Lando Norris moves up to P4 in the Drivers' Championship, moving ahead of Lewis Hamilton. We unfortunately move outside the top 10, we're now down to P11, overtaken by Daniel Ricciardo, and Pierre Gasly scores his first point in this season, moving up to whatever that was, 16 or whatever, and that also means that AlphaTauri are now P10 in the Constructors' Championship, scoring 1 point. Aston Martin, the only team to not have scored a point so far this season. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.